Hello Amber, I'm John Golden, I'm a child psychiatrist. We're meeting for the first time today. Thank you for coming to see me. How are you feeling at the moment? I know that things have been very difficult for you. I think you were in hospital last week, weren't you? Because we got a referral from the hospital telling us that you've been admitted there for a couple of days. And it's good that you've been able to come here today so we can think about how to help you moving forwards. Do you feel like you need some help, Amber? I know it's kind of difficult talking to someone that you haven't met before about how you're feeling. But I know that things certainly last week must have felt very desperate for you. Can you tell me a little bit maybe about why you were taken to hospital and what happened?
Well, you know, don't you? So
I do know quite a lot of details, but it would be, I mean, I can tell you a little bit about what I know, but it would also be helpful to hear from you. I heard that it was your mother that took you to hospital, I think. Is that right? And my understanding is that you've taken an overdose of tablets. Was it paracetamol that you took? So it must have been a really scary, difficult time for you. And I'm not sure if things feel any better now. Maybe you feel similarly to how you felt last week. Do you feel more or less the same, or?
I'll go home.
You can go home when we finish talking a bit. But it felt really important that you did come here today after what happened last week. And I think it's really good that you were able to do that. Because I think it's fairly clear from what happened that you're letting us know that you need some help and support with things at the moment. Is that fair to say? I think a lot's been going on recently, hasn't it? Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about what's been going on that's upset you?
Everything.
Yeah. It's been a really difficult time for you, as I understand it.
Yeah.
I think things have been difficult in your family. Maybe between your mum and dad, is that right?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me something about that?
Just like awful. Just don't even want to talk about it anymore. Just feel like I'm always having to just feel like I'm always having to like talk about it and stuff.
I imagine you talked about it in hospital when you were there. Maybe it feels like you're now telling a new person about what's been happening, which I can understand is difficult. We're going to be working together going forwards, which is why I'd like to hear a little bit myself directly from you. But I can tell you a bit about what I know from what I've read in the letter from the hospital. So I understand your parents got divorced recently. How long ago was that?
It was like half a year ago.
About 6 months ago.
Yeah.
It's clearly very upsetting for you that happened.
Yeah, it's shit.
Doesn't feel fair, does it?
No. This is just all shit. I just don't even want to be here anymore. I just don't even want to be here anymore. I just
Do you sometimes feel like you just don't want to get out of bed in the morning? Just kind of wrap yourself up and not face the world?
Yeah.
Is that how you felt last week when you took the overdose, that you just didn't really want to be alive anymore? Can I ask you just a little bit about the overdose? I know you have talked to the doctors in hospital about this, but for me to just understand how things were for you at that point. Had you been planning it for a while, or did you do it kind of a bit spur of the moment?
Planned it.
You had been planning it, had you? I think you took paracetamol, didn't you? And I think the hospital said it was about 20 paracetamol, is that right? So had you been kind of saving them up, or how long had you been thinking about taking the overdose for?
A couple of months.
A couple of months? Really? And had you been able to talk to anyone about thinking about this? So you were quite alone with these thoughts? Sounds like it was very difficult for you. And I think you took the overdose, were you in your bedroom at the time? Was there anyone else in the house? Sorry?
My mum.
Was she downstairs or nearby?
She went to the shop.
Oh, so you took the overdose when she was out? Were you hoping that she wouldn't be able to help you then? You thought you might be dead when she came back? Sounds awful. Did you like leave a note or anything?
No, Dad didn't. So.
Dad didn't? I think Dad tried to do something similar, is that right?
Yeah.
The things have been really, really tough for you. Did he also take an overdose?
No, tried.
He tried to take an overdose. When was that?
A while ago.
Right. And he went to hospital as well, did he? No? So he didn't actually take the overdose, but he tried. Is he still very low himself as well? Gosh, so you've really got a lot on your plate at the moment. I imagine your mum's probably feeling quite low as well. Yeah. How long do you think you've been feeling low for, Amber? Can you look back on when you last felt okay? Or does that feel like such a long time ago?
Just like before everything like happened
With your mum and dad?
yeah, and like him like losing
Him losing?
like his job and stuff.
Oh right, he lost his job, did he? When was that?
Like last year.
Okay. And he took that quite badly, did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that the point when things started to feel particularly difficult, when he lost his job? Or were things difficult before then as well?
It's like partly maybe why they like split up and stuff, but like I feel like it's still all my fault.
You feel like it's your fault? Why do you think it's your fault, Amber?
Just because I didn't even help them and stuff. It's better if I'm not even here.
So you feel somehow guilty about it? A lot of young people feel guilty when their parents get divorced. But it's really the parents' business. It's not the child's fault or the young person's fault. But I do understand that you feel guilty nonetheless, despite what I'm saying. But clearly, obviously I don't know your parents, and I'm hoping to meet them in the next week or so. But, it's their business, whatever the difficulties were, it's not your fault. But I do understand that you do feel guilty about things. And that might be also connected with your low mood at the moment. How are you sleeping at the moment, Amber?
I just don't really sleep.
Are you struggling to get to sleep? And do you wake up early or not particularly? How many hours sleep do you get at night, do you think?
4, 5 maybe, perhaps, I don't know.
So that's less than usual for you? Yeah. And how is your appetite? Are you managing to eat or?
I'm hungry.
Not hungry. Have you been losing weight? Not sure. I guess you feel quite low in your energy, do you? And how about school? Are you able to concentrate on things? Or?
Just messed it all up.
You messed it up. Probably really hard to concentrate on schoolwork at the moment for you. Is that fair to say? When were you last in school?
Like a month ago.
So you haven't felt up to going to school for the last month or so? Is it GCSEs? Yeah, this year. Gosh, so that just adds to the stresses, I guess. Are there any subjects you particularly enjoy, or is it kind of hard to enjoy anything at the moment?
Yeah, it's all shit.
It's all shit. Can I ask you how you feel about still being alive? I realise you feel pretty terrible at the moment, but are you at least a little bit relieved that you didn't die last week, or do you wish you had died?
Just feel guilty now.
You feel guilty? Yeah. Well, you feel you've caused trouble for other people? I hope I'd like to say to you that you don't need to feel guilty about feeling so low, because an awful lot's been happening, and you're not well at the moment, and you need help and support, and that's why it's good that you've come here, and we can think about together how we can help you. Before we go on to that, can I just ask a little bit more about, do you feel like you're at risk of doing what you did last week again? You don't? Okay. Well, I'm pleased to hear that. So we need to try and think about how we can help you though, so hopefully over time you won't feel so dreadful. What do you kind of hope for going forwards in the future? Would you like to be able to get back to school?
I want to do it all over again.
Pardon?
Just want to do it all over again.
What do you want to do over again?
Everything, I just want to...
Like have a second chance?
Like just like not mess everything up and stuff.
Okay. Well, you haven't messed things up, but things have been really, really difficult for you. But it sounds like you want things to be different and try and get some help so that you can get back to school, and even though things are still really difficult with your mum and dad, and maybe they need some help as well. And when I meet them, I can talk to them about that. You've shown in the short time we've been talking that you really are able to let me know how you've been feeling, which is good. And I'm also pleased that you're not saying that you want to sort of repeat what happened last week, and you're kind of saying that you want things to be different. So what might be helpful is for you to come and talk to one of my colleagues regularly and have a kind of therapeutic relationship, get to know them, and maybe meet with them every week. I've got a colleague who's a psychologist who you could meet and who I think would be pleased to meet with you regularly over time, get to know you well. I would also see you from time to time, but I think it would be good if you saw someone every week to have what we call therapy. Does that make sense? Is that something you would be willing to do? Good. So I'll introduce you to them next time we meet, We can make that arrangement. And the other thing that we can think about next time we meet, maybe you can go away and think about it, and we can discuss it, and I can give you some information about it as well, is medication might be helpful for you. So antidepressant medication can be helpful. But I don't think it's like urgent that you have to have it now, but I'd like you to just read a bit about it, and we can talk a bit about it and have a think about whether that would be helpful, as well as the therapy. But I think probably the most important thing first off is for you to start your therapy and get some support for all the stuff that's been happening. Because it's clearly been a really, really difficult time for you. But I would like to say well done, Amber, for talking to me. It's it's the first time we've met, and I know it's not easy, and you talked to people last week when you're in hospital. But I think you've done really well, and you've told me something about how difficult things have been at home with your dad and your mum and missing school. But I think that you've taken the first step to getting some help, and I feel hopeful that we can work together, and also with my colleague that you'll get to know as well. And I'm going to meet your parents next week. Is that okay with you if I talk to them? Is there anything that we've talked about today that you wouldn't want me to say to them?
It's just I don't know, maybe don't tell them everything, just because I don't know if they cope and stuff.
Okay. Well, one of the things I'd like to say to them is that you're feeling down, and things have been very difficult for you, but you're also a girl who's willing and able to get some help, which is really positive.
Okay.
So I will convey that to them, which is what you've shown me today. Before we finish, have you got any questions for me?
I don't think so.
Okay, so we'll make an arrangement to meet next week, and I'll introduce you to one of my colleagues, and I'll also meet with your parents, and we'll move things forward together.
Alright.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.